Hey guys, let me know if you can hear me okay. Welcome everybody. Just doing a live stream today. Going to go over some uh, Linux information rather than do a bunch of different videos. I'm going to kind of put it all into this live stream. So how is everybody doing today? Esqueleto, I will save the video so you can watch it when you get back from work. Okay, I'm glad the audio is going good. Let's go over a couple things that I came across and see if this is helpful information to you guys. The first thing is that I needed to install a new graphics card in my secondary computer. So it's not a super duper powered computer. Let me show you what it's got in it. This happens to be Ubuntu Mate. Um, and if I looks like I don't have system profiler set up. I'm gonna see if I have that. If not, I'm gonna go ahead and install it so you can see what hardware I have in this machine. And that's a program called Hard Info. And that should download fairly quickly. Looks like the stream didn't affect it very much. So if I go to System Profiler, you'll see that I have a new video card. It's the GeForce GTX 1050 Ti. Now I came across this. The reason I came across this is I saw that Apple had released drivers for their Mac OS, and so well I figured since it's recognized within Mac OS, I'll go ahead and purchase one. And I knew that Windows would take it, and I was pretty sure Linux wouldn't have any issues. I checked with NVIDIA, and they had the same driver that I was using with my GT740 card. So it looked like the same driver was going to be compatible, so I figured I'd go ahead and install it. And I'll show you the card. It's a fairly reasonably priced card for what it gives you, 4 gigabytes of DDR5 video RAM. It's a dual slot, and that's all I had available in my machine. It's a dual slot. It's not really a low profile card, although it is very, very low profile, but it's not listed as a low profile, but it only needs a single fan. And it's very, very quiet. And I installed it, and when I booted up with Linux, uh, it just was seamless. The same video driver was usable, and so everything worked perfectly right out of the box. When I booted up Windows, it needed to go and pull in the driver, which it did, and then I rebooted and everything was fine. But within Mac OS, this is a Hackintosh, this machine. And so when I booted up Mac OS, I'm running Maverick on this machine. When I booted up, it wouldn't recognize it. And so I said, gee, that's kind of strange, because I read that Apple had released drivers, and yes, they released drivers, but not for Mavericks. it they only have drivers for the new Sierra, so it actually won't run within Mac OS unless I upgrade this machine. Now, this machine is not strong enough as far as computing power to run the new OS Sierra. So I would either have to go with uh, El Capitan or what is the next one? I forget what the next one was. But there are two versions that I could upgrade to that will have this video card work within Mac, and I'll do that at some point. But right now, as you can see on this particular hard drive, if we look in gparted, you can see I have Ubuntu Mate, which I'm running in now. I also installed Ubuntu 1704, Ubuntu with the Unity desktop, Lubuntu, which I really like, and I also installed Manjaro LXDE. Now, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but Manjaro released a release candidate, first release candidate for Manjaro LXDE, and you can download it right from this web page. If you do a search, or if you go into the Manjaro forum and look up under the announcements, look up Manjaro LXDE 17 Release Candidate 1, you can download it right from there. I installed it and I'm running it on another petition, but um, aside from the package management system, which I really like, I prefer the Arch or Manjaro package management using Pacman. Aside from that, there really is no difference. And when I benchmark the Manjaro LXDE versus Lubuntu, Lubuntu runs much leaner, much quicker, and that's with all of the same software installed, including the Blizzard app, Hearthstone, Steam. I've got American Truck Simulator, Euro Truck Simulator. So I've got everything running, and quite frankly, the Lubuntu install is much snappier. Now, I did some comparisons on CPU usage and RAM usage, and Lubuntu had a boot up CPU usage of 0.69 and 419 megabytes of RAM, fully loaded with everything that I use. Manjaro LXDE had a 1.09 CPU and 514 megabytes of RAM, about 100 megabytes. Now, it's not the end of the world difference, but it does make a difference in look and feel. When you click on something, it opens quicker on Lubuntu. So, and as you can see in my hard info window, I've got the GeForce GTX. Now, as I said, it's not a super duper computer. It's an i3 4360, 3.7 gigahertz. It's a fantastic CPU for the price. I've got 8 megabytes of RAM, and as you can see, I'm running 1704 Ubuntu Mate. So everything's running fine, and I do use Ubuntu Mate as my daily driver still. It's working fine, no issues whatsoever. So on this, as you can see in gparted, if I pop up my drives, I've got, as you can see, Mavericks installed on my SDB drive. And right now, because Mavericks won't run with this video card, I am going to replace this. Now, I've got two ideas. One is I may go with the new Yosemite, which is the one behind Sierra. I believe I can run El Capitan or Yosemite. I may load up either one of those, or I may actually load up Sabian, because I wanted to experiment with the Gen 2 distro. So I'll see over the next few days what I decide to do with that. Now on my C drive, SDC, you can see I have actually Windows 7 is installed here. It runs fine, no issues. I do not use it very often. I've got a SDD. This is another, it's actually an external USB drive that I have just dedicated to files and information that I need for my Linux distributions, whether they be Ubuntu, Arch. These are all useful files and things that I need to access whenever I do a Linux installation. So that's what this particular machine looks like. It's got three internal SDDs and I'm sorry, SSDs and one external SSD. Okay, so the next little piece of information, I hope I'm not overwhelming you guys with this information. So the next piece of information that I wanted to talk about, and so I see Garth, you're in favor of Sabian, and again, welcome everybody. We've got 28, 29 watching now. Um, yeah, the Sabian I've been interested in for a while, and Sabian along with Fedora or Corora. I was going to go with Corora because I haven't really used Gen 2 or Fedora based distributions. And so I thought I'd give one of those a try, and I may end up doing that at some point. Okay, so the next topic, I just wanted to give you guys some information. I'm not sure if you're aware. When you type sudo for a command within Linux, it times out fairly quickly. If you go to your etc/sudoers file as root, there'll be a line that says defaults env underscore reset. You can actually increase the timeout duration by changing to this line here, defaults, and then just add timestamp timeout, and then you can change this 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you like. So if you're going to be doing some command line or terminal work and you get tired of entering your password, you can put a timeout in excess of the default and give yourself a little more time so you don't have to keep entering your password. And I thought I'd pass that along to you. It can be useful depending on how much work you do in terminal or at the command line. Okay, and the next topic that I wanted to go over with you guys is Pythos, P-I-T-H-O-S. This is a Pandora radio client. The new version 1.3 was released. Web Update has the information on adding the PPA, and they also have a link here to download the Debian file. I use Pythos most of the time. If I'm working on the computer and I want to listen to some music, I'll pull up my Pandora account through Pythos, and it's neat. It doesn't have as many restrictions on skipping tunes that Pandora has on your iPhone or your Android phone. So it's pretty nice. You can set up channels. So if you haven't tried that out, you might want to give it a try if you're interested in streaming some music within your Linux distribution. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is I read over the weekend that even though Ubuntu is officially dropping support for Unity as of this 1704 release. According to the CEO, he feels that there's enough interest that Unity may be continued even next year with the 1804 release in an unofficial capacity. So, if there's enough interest, they're going to, I believe, issue a Unity desktop environment that you can install on top of your Ubuntu install as you do now, as you're able to now. For example, if you install Ubuntu Mate and you wanted to install the XFCE desktop or the LXDE desktop or the LXQT desktop, you could do that today. That still might be the case. So those of you who have a liking for Unity, you will probably still be able to install Unity as a separate desktop environment on top of your Linux install. Okay, so the next topic is Blizzard. Now, as I've mentioned in the past, Blizzard makes it difficult at times to install the app within Linux. Now, as I've mentioned in the past, I did a video on this recently, and what they're doing is, if you have Ubuntu 1604, you're not going to have an easy time. I tried installing using the current method. I tried installing the Blizzard app, and I just wasn't able to do it within 1604. Then I tried through Play on Linux, and I also was unsuccessful. However, with 1610, Ubuntu 1610, and with Ubuntu 1704, and with the latest Manjaro releases and the latest Arch release, the same procedure that I use within Ubuntu works and gets Blizzard going. As you can see, I've got Blizzard, Hearthstone. The only limitation, I believe, at this point in time is you're not able to run Overwatch. I haven't been successful with it. So, if you want to run StarCraft, World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, those seem to run with no issues at all. Now, when I run American Truck Simulator or Euro Truck Simulator, I'm doing it through Steam, which is a Linux client. And so that works very, very well. No issues at all. And you can hear my grandfather clock is signaling it's 10 a.m. Now, from a personal perspective, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but my heart issue is under control with a couple of new medications they gave me, and I'm starting to actually feel somewhat normal. So I'll be getting back to probably making some more regular videos. I might do some live streams, maybe a few times a week. We'll see how that goes. Just to go over a couple topics. I didn't want to make 5 or 6 short videos to go through some of the things that I wanted to review with you today. Now, DistroWatch, the top 5 hasn't really changed much. Mint, Debian, Manjaro, Ubuntu, OpenSUSE. So those right now, they're pretty stable. I think Manjaro may have had a little bit of a glitch over the last few weeks because of some of the issues that were introduced and the crashes. Now, as I said, I've been able to install Manjaro LXDE without any issues. However, I'm not running it as a daily driver. I'm running Ubuntu Mate. So That that tells you something. I'm still not 100% comfortable with Manjaro or Arch as my daily driver. However, at some point I may return to it. I just don't want to experience what I did over the last few weeks. I prefer not to go through that type of situation again. So I'm playing it safe right now, but as I said, at some point in time, I'll probably go back to Arch and Manjaro. So we have 36 watching now, and that's terrific. I don't do a lot of live streams, and so I had to go through the procedure quite slowly. Hopefully, it's working well. Are you guys getting the audio and the video properly? Yeah, I appreciate the amount of interest. I will try to do. Um, I will try to do a few more live streams, and if you guys want me to do that on a regular basis, we'll set up some time to do that. Now I'm doing it at 10 a.m. my time, which is on the east coast of the United States, and I realize that's probably a better time for for the viewers in Europe, in European countries. It makes it a little bit easier to watch at a convenient time. So 1604 in Italy. Um, I was talking to my wife this morning. We usually take a trip to Europe every year, and I've had to put it off this year because of my heart situation. And so I'm hoping to be able to do that this summer. We really enjoy going to Italy, and I'm thinking that we might fly into London and then do a little bit of meeting up with some of the guys in the UK, and then I'll take the channel over to Paris and spend a day or two in Paris. We really like Paris, so I might do that this summer. Once I'm once I'm convinced that everything is settled and running properly with my heartbeat, because I would not want to experience what I experienced here. I wouldn't want to experience that on vacation in Europe. That would be a little bit too much. My heartbeat for over 2 months was 100 beats a minute or over constantly, and it just wears you out. And so that's what I had to deal with over the last few months. Right now, my blood pressure is perfect. My heart rate is actually in the 50s, but it's steady around 52 to 62 in that area, and it seems to be rock solid. Now, the good news is I don't have heart disease. I don't have any blockages. I don't have any structural defects. All my valves and things like that are all fine. It's just basically an electrical problem. It's the atrial fibrillation, which is really based on in the electrical signals that my heart is reacting to. And so this medicine that I'm on controls that pretty well. Now the downside is that the medicine is has a tendency to make you very tired. But I seem to be coping pretty well with that. I'm getting back into my daily routine. I'm hitting the treadmill, taking the dog for walks. Yeah, I'm due for a rewire. Absolutely. So they have mentioned surgery. They have mentioned a procedure called an ablation. They use either they either burn the left, I think it's the left ventricle. They either burn the uh, interior so that they kill the electrical signals, or they can do cryoablation, which is freezing. So I've got a meeting with my doctor next Tuesday, a week from today. We're going to go over all those options because at some point they say that this medicine that I'm on eventually wears out. Your heart finds a way around it and starts going crazy again. So the younger you do the ablation, the better. And so I'm going to be talking to him about that. And within the next year or so, I'll probably do the ablation. If the ablation goes well, you can actually stop the medication. And that's my goal at this point in time. So, anyway, so enough about that, guys. I'm doing fine. And I don't think I'll be having any issues in the near future. I think that I'm on the upswing and it's going to stay that way. So hopefully, keep my fingers crossed and everything will be okay. So, guys, as I said, I have that spare drive available. So, what would you guys like to see me install on that? I can go with Sabian. I can do a Fedora install. One thing I'm going to do, because when I've tried to install Sabian and Fedora in the past, I've come up against booting issues. And I have found that the only way around it, because they both want to control the booting process. Um, Kevin, I run Ubuntu Mate 1704 right now, and that's my daily driver. Now, I was running Arch Linux Manjaro, uh, but right because of some issues with the rolling release, because of some issues that I had, I'm not using that right now. I'm using Ubuntu Mate 1704, which is rock solid. Thanks for the well wishes, guys. I do appreciate that. Yeah, Fedora Gnome Wayland. Yeah, that would be interesting. I I'm gonna do and one thing I'm gonna do just to play it safe, because I have, as you could see within Gparted, I have so many operating systems within this one computer. I don't want to mess anything up. So it'll be an easy matter for me just to disconnect the other drives. And what I'll do is I'll just connect the one drive when I do the install. That way I know that nothing else will be contaminated, and when I reboot, it'll just be a matter of me going into the BIOS and selecting the drive that I want to boot from. Now, one of the things that, as since you're mentioning KDE, one of the things that I did actually over the weekend is I installed Kubuntu with the KDE Plasma, because they have a feature within KDE called Look and Feel, and you can download different variations. And one of them was a Unity look and feel. So I wanted to see how well that Unity look and feel module, how well it really approximated the look and feel of Unity. So I downloaded Kubuntu, and then I went to the KDE store and I downloaded the look and feel, and I'll bring that up so you guys can see. But if you do a search on KDE store, you see this United Plasma look and feel packs. You see how it closely resembles Unity. I downloaded and installed that, and it was pretty close. It it wasn't as close as I would like it to be, um, but it actually did a decent job. Now, when I if I'm running either XFCE or Mate, you can put a side panel up and you can get it to look pretty close to Unity if you like uh, that look and feel. Now, within Debian, you have MX16, which gives you that side panel. Very nice. It's very Unity based, very Unity like, but it's a Debian based distribution that actually uses the XFCE desktop, but they give you a desk bar on the left out of the box, but they also give you an option to change that panel to the bottom to look like a standard XFCE install. And from a Debian standpoint, that MX16 is really one of my favorites. Now, I will tell you, for conversation, um, I had I had a Debian testing install running for quite some time on this machine. And when I installed this new video card, the Debian did not take to it well at all. Even though the driver was the same, the driver within Ubuntu um, and the driver within Arch Manjaro worked fine right out of the box with this new video card. I didn't have to do anything. I just booted up, and the same driver for NVIDIA worked perfectly within Ubuntu and within Arch Manjaro. However, within Debian, it wouldn't boot. The video driver became corrupted, um, and I replaced Debian with another Ubuntu install. Now I'm going to try another Debian testing install with this video card and see if I can get it working from scratch. Now the one that I've been using is the Debian testing, the non-free version. That really ran rock solid until I changed the video card. But in my opinion, if you're looking for a Linux distribution that will install easily and run daily without any issues whatsoever, right now I'd have to recommend Ubuntu distributions. Ubuntu Mate is the one that I'm using as my daily driver, but really I could use Ubuntu, I could use LXDE, I could use the Lubuntu version or the Xubuntu for XFCE. I could use any of those and they'd all run properly. Yeah, Ubuntu based systems work better than Windows 10 right now, that's for sure. So Fedora Wayland is buggy. That's good to know because that was on my list for that drive. I've tested out Fedora in the past and really didn't take to the package management system. Same thing with Gentoo based. Didn't take very well to the uh, package management system. However, that's only because I'm not used to it. If I spent a week or two with it and focused and concentrated on it, I'd probably do fairly well with it. And that's why I want to dedicate that drive. If I don't do another Mac OS install, uh, I'm I'm gonna uh, I'm gonna dedicate that drive to a Fedora or a Gentoo based installation. Now, I mentioned that I have Mavericks on this machine. If you guys are ever interested in uh, installing the Mac operating system onto a PC, it is possible. The website that I would recommend would be, it's Tony Mac uh, 86, I think it is. Yeah, Tony Mac X 86. Now, as you can see, this is what caused me to buy the NVIDIA Pascal graphics card, and that was the GTX 1050 Ti that I purchased. It was the best bang for the buck that I could see after looking at a few. And so, since I saw it on this website, um, that it was compatible, I figured I'd give it a try. Now, if you guys are ever interested in building a Mac OS or a Hackintosh, as they call it, um, if you're ever interested, this is the site I would recommend. They've got a buyer's guide. To be successful in this process, it's important that you select the hardware from the approved hardware in this website. So if you go into the buyer's guide and you want to do, if you want to approximate a Mac Mini, for example, it's called a custom Mac Mini. Now, I did a Mac Mini build. Actually, I did the custom Mac Mini Deluxe. This is one of the two that I did, and that's the one I'm running on right now. The other one that I did was this one, the custom Mac um, MATX. It's a smaller version of an ATX motherboard, and so all of the approved hardware is listed here. So if you wanted to do an inexpensive build and you click on Custom Mac Mini, it'll have suggested hardware, suggested motherboard, CPU coolers, RAM, CPUs, SSDs, and they've even got a hard drive here, a conventional hard drive, power supplies, cases. So if you wanted to do a build, this is where you would start. Now, I put together when I first built my first Hackintosh, I put together the list of hardware and I purchased according to this list. And I kept the cost down pretty well. What you end up with is you end up with a much more powerful version of the Mac Mini. The nice thing is the Mac Mini is not customizable by the end user. Apple has made it so that you can't replace the hard drive. You can't replace the RAM any longer. It's very difficult, if near impossible, to work on an Apple Mac Mini. However, if you build a Mac Mini according to the guidelines on this website, it'll be fully customizable. You can replace components as you go along. You can upgrade your CPU. You can add RAM. So it the end result is you end up with a small case type computer running the newest version of Mac OS Sierra. And all of the instructions to get it working are all in here. The installation guide, there are specific guides for each version of Apple software. And so, and the forum is really, really responsive. You can get all kinds of information from the people who are doing the same thing as you. They have put together um, a Mac computer running Mac OS, and they'll happily share tips and tricks and things with you. And when you finish your build and you've got everything running, you can also post up your build to show people how you did it so that other people can actually learn from you. So if you're interested in that, that's the website that I would recommend. So Windows 10 is buggy. Actually, I'm not running Windows 10 right now. I've got two computers and they're both running Windows 7. And quite honestly, Windows Microsoft is trying to do to Windows 7 what they did to Windows 10. You have to be really careful when you update, and just to make sure that your computer isn't sending information where you don't want it to go. Yeah, Windows 7, I agree. Windows 7 is a lot better than Windows 10. You've got a little bit more control over it. I like the look and feel of Windows 7 better than Windows 10. But they're making, and I'm not talking about Microsoft, the end users are making progress with Windows 10, fine tuning it so that it doesn't compromise their security. But if they enjoy working with Windows 10 and they can find ways around those security issues, um, they're very happy with Windows 10. And so, to each his own. Um, I like to try a little bit of everything. That's why you see so many different operating systems on my computer. So I have a lot of fun with that. But my daily driver is Ubuntu Mate because it does everything that I want it to do, and I don't have any hiccups, no issues on a daily basis. Yeah, I had Windows 10 installed also, and I removed it in favor of Windows 7. Now I've got a Windows 7 uh, CD that I use for my installation. I purchased that. So when I install it, the only thing that bugs me with Windows 7 is that if I decide to reinstall Windows 7, I can pop in my CD and install it, but then when I boot up, I don't have my Wi-Fi drivers, I don't have my graphics drivers, nothing works properly. I don't even have the proper resolution on my monitor. And so then I have to stop popping in motherboard disks to get my Ethernet working. Then I have to load up my Wi-Fi drivers. Then I have to install my graphics processor drivers. It's just a long, difficult process. Where with Ubuntu, geez, I install whatever Ubuntu based distribution I want, and when I boot up, it recognizes 90% of my hardware components, and it's an easy matter to install the drivers for the ones that don't work correctly right out of the box. It's not so easy within Windows 7. There really isn't an easy way to get access, especially since in my case, it won't even install my Ethernet. So I'm not able to connect to the internet until I start loading drivers off my motherboard CD-ROM. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't use VirtualBox a lot only because when I do my distribution reviews, I would rather do a hardware install because that is what most people want to see. They want to make sure uh, that everything runs right. Hi Tam, good to see you too. So that's why I don't use VirtualBox. Now, if all you want to see is the bells and whistles or the look or the theming or things like that, VirtualBox is great. It'll show you all that. But it's not going to tell you whether or not you're going to have any driver issues. And that's what I prefer to see. I want to see how it's going to run on a daily basis. Most people are not going to be running it in a VirtualBox, and so I would rather see. Uh, hey, Steve, how's it going? Um, I would rather do a hardware install. Steve, I'm having a great time with American Truck Simulator. Uh, it's a lot of fun. I've been doing it probably every day now since I started watching your videos, and I really enjoy it. Right now, uh, I've got one truck, no loans, everything's paid off. I raised $200,000, and I expanded my garage. That cost me $180,000. So now I am trying to save up enough money to add a truck with another driver. So that's my goal for this week. Get that second driver going. Hi, Ben. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, everybody. 39 watching right now. That's terrific. So I thought I'd do this stream, and I will leave it up so that since I did go through some information that may be beneficial to other guys. I know these tend to be on the long side, so people uh, will probably not watch them. Robert, thank you very much. The whole point of the channel is to help people solve their Linux issues and to make Linux a more enjoyable experience for everybody. So where's Sudo today? Is he here? Sudo reboot. He does some great live streams. I try to catch his live streams. He usually does one every day. What time is it here? It is 10:30 a.m. on the East Coast. Yeah, thanks, Steve. I haven't really done a lot of live streams, so I figured I'd give it a shot. I had a few things on the list today, and rather than make several videos, which, as you know, uh, each video takes quite a process to do the video and then get it edited and rendered and up to YouTube, and it takes a while. So I figured I'd do this live stream. Ben, on the Blizzard install I mentioned earlier, um, what version of Linux are you using? Yeah, Steve, it is very much more interactive. I really enjoy the immediacy of it. And as I mentioned earlier in this stream, Blizzard still isn't what I would call easy to install in Linux. Although with the new Ubuntu 17.04 and current versions of Manjaro and Arch and things like that, the Arch-based distributions, it is making it much easier. Yeah, see, with Gentoo, Ben, um, because I don't use Gentoo on a daily basis, I haven't gone through the process. So, what I would suggest to you is that you use my latest Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that the stream is red. And now, yeah, before it was green. Let me see what this. Okay, so Steve, what do you think the issue is on this? I'm a Lenny fan. Thanks for stopping by. I'm using OBS, Steve. OBS Studio. Could be a setting within OBS. Now, I noticed before my stream showed green, so there's some variation. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that, but it might be a setting within OBS. Now, Steve, what is it that what do you use for the, do you use Simple Screen Recorder? As far as I can tell, I think OBS is probably pretty popular for streaming. Okay. Current keyframes are not being sent often enough, which will cause buffering. So I'll have to look within my video settings and see if I can find out what's causing that. Is it coming through okay, the video and the audio? Okay, so there's my OBS. Okay, great. So hopefully I can make some minor adjustments here. And okay, so settings, stream, general. Okay, Steve, I've got settings open. Output. So I've got video bitrate 2500. Okay, I'll make a note. Change to advanced settings. Okay. Still on red. Change rate control. Rate control to VBR. The my upload speed, Steve, is I think it's about 5 or 6 megabits per second. Okay, guys, is that still coming through? Okay, seems to be, huh? 3500 is better. Okay, so I'll go through this after, Steve, and see if I can get all of your suggestions implemented, and then we'll try it on the next stream. Hopefully that red turns to, oh, it's green now. So let's see what happens. See, it's bouncing back and forth between red and green. Okay, so we'll leave it there and see what happens. Yeah, Ben, Gen 2 is not the most gaming friendly version of Linux, from what I can tell. And if gaming is important to you, then you may want to switch over to Ubuntu. And Ubuntu Mate is my choice at the moment. What theme am I using? This is, let's see. Let's see. I'm using the Blue Submarine. This one right here, Blue Submarine theme. Um, the icons are Fienza. That's what I usually use. I usually use a pretty simple theme. So I'm using Blue Submarine with Fienza. Now this particular wallpaper is one that I made. I just put that together in GIMP. Um, and you can do that pretty easily. And all I do is if you go into, you see here, you can download lots of logos and things like that, and you can construct your own wallpaper. So what I did was I downloaded this color, single color, solid color stain wallpaper, and then I just added various logos within GIMP. You can resize them. There's one here, keep calm and use Ubuntu Mate. That's pretty cool. And make sure you download with a transparent background. Specify that. It'll be normally ping files, and then that way when you place this on your wallpaper, everything is transparent except for the graphics. It's pretty easy to do. For example, here's one that I that I made. It's pretty neat. It's got the Ubuntu symbol in the lower right and that graphic just put on top. So you can experiment and create your own wallpapers for your particular distribution. Yeah, Steve, you're right. Ubuntu Mate is terrific for most things that you want to do within Linux. And I've been running this daily for a few weeks now, and I haven't had any issues. And I've updated it, no problems at all. And everything runs perfectly. So, and by the way, since I upgraded, I had a GT 740 NVIDIA card, and I put in this new GTX 1050 Ti. I was able to crank my graphics in American Truck Simulator all the way up to Ultra without any issues whatsoever. So it really made the game much more enjoyable. And gaming in general is pretty easy to do within Ubuntu Mate. So for example, if you wanted to play Hearthstone, and you can see BattleNet. Well, looks like the Blizzard app is having some issues. It could be a function of the stream. There it is. So you can see that the Blizzard app opens and starts. It's having an issue with the stream right now, fully loading the graphics in the center. But because every time you want to play a Blizzard game, it needs to connect online. And so it's probably conflicting. Everything is loaded now. And so if I click play, it should launch. Oh. Now you see this Blizzard app required update? Once I click restart, there is no guarantee that I am going to be able to restart this. It depends on what Blizzard has done to the. Now, as you can see, it's running fine right now. And I usually go with a smaller screen. Now, but once I apply the update that Blizzard has sent down, there's no guarantee this is going to work. So let's see what happens. I'm going to quit and we're going to restart it just to see what shenanigans Blizzard is up to. So Steve, you're running Windows 7 full time. Yeah, I mean if I were to run Windows every day, it would be Windows 7. But right now I'm staying on Ubuntu Mate most of the time. I get everything done with no issues at all. Now as you can see, Ubuntu has not restarted. And so there may be, I'm exiting the Blizzard app. Uh, it may be that the change that Blizzard made to the Blizzard app is going to mess up my install. And that's where Windows has the advantage. Anything you install within Windows, like Steam, like American Truck Simulator, the Blizzard apps, everything runs fine without fail. The gaming, as I've said in the past, Windows still has an advantage for gaming. So let's see if we can reopen the Blizzard app. It should. I think the stream is having a negative effect on it, but it should work just fine. As you can see, the icon is in the system tray, and and that's usually an indication that it's running. It just hasn't popped open yet. And it needs to go online to get everything set up, so it could be a conflict with the stream. We'll just leave it. Yeah, so it looks like it's going to work fine. No issues. But again, it's touch and go because you never know what Blizzard's going to do within that app, and it can change your procedure, your install procedure. It can require additional libraries, need to be installed through Steam. Now for Steam to work properly, as I've said in the past, your libraries using wine tricks have to have everything that I have. And I've gone through that in my videos, but it's extremely important. Now, as you can see, I'm using Windows XP. At some point, that may go away, and then I'll have to use Windows Vista or Windows 7. But Windows XP seems to work pretty well on the games that I play, which is Hearthstone, mainly Hearthstone and Diablo. Yeah, the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. That was a great game. I don't have it installed right now, but that was a great game. Now, a lot of different games are available on Steam now, much more than there used to be. Native Linux Steam games. Now, let me ask you a question, guys. Have you guys played Rocket League at all? Rocket League is a game that's available within the Linux, and you can see I've only got two installed, American Truck and Euro Truck. But Rocket League is it's a fun game. I don't play it. It's not even installed here. I don't play it that often, and I'm not sure if it's going to be able to install because of the stream, but um, it can be pretty neat. I'm going to minimize that. It can be pretty neat. Yeah, speaking of Spatry, yeah, I miss his videos. I when I first started off, I used to watch Spatry's videos, and I think one of the first YouTube channels that I watched and subscribed to was uh, Steve. It was your Puppy Linux channel, and then Linux Help Guy, and those were when I first started watching Linux videos on YouTube. I think your site might have been the first one that I subscribed to. Always great information, and and your delivery, your just it really made it enjoyable for me to, especially with Puppy Linux, which I was not familiar with. And I got so much out of your Puppy Linux videos. Puppy Linux is terrific, but it's really not mainstream. But I really enjoyed all of the videos, and that really got me really into uh, wanting to do the YouTube videos. Hey, Fishman, how's everything going? No, I've never had a drink of mate. I'm doing good, Fishman. Doing good. Getting back to normal. Actually, even getting out and doing some yard work and doing things that I would do automatically without thinking that I wasn't able to do when I was having the issue. But that's hopefully that's behind me now. A ceramic clock fell and shattered on your head. Wow. That could not have been comfortable. I would imagine so. That must have hurt. Sorry to hear that, Fishman. So many other YouTubers have stopped doing Linux videos. Um, yeah, you gotta enjoy it. That's for sure because you're not gonna make any money on it, and so you gotta really enjoy it. You gotta believe in Linux. You gotta enjoy helping people. Um, the best comments I get are the ones that say, "Oh, thank you so much. I finally was able to get my printer working," or I'm finally able to get to play Blizzard games on Linux." Those are the ones that actually keep me going because I like, um, I enjoy helping, and I enjoy showing people how to resolve issues within Linux that helps them um, stay with Linux because I believe that Linux should be used by more people. I have a lot of family in New England. I'm in actually North Carolina, but I lived most of my life in New England, and I have lots of family in New England, and I uh, encourage them to use Linux, and I help them whenever I can if they want to get involved in Linux. Um, and the other thing, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but um, I think that one of the segments of the population that can benefit a great deal from using Linux is the older computer users. Um, in this Facebook, Twitter, social media um, time when that's really a dominant force, um, many grandparents, for example, stay in touch with their families and their grandchildren and their children through social media. And if they're not computer savvy, it creates problems for them in that respect. It makes what should be enjoyable frustrating. And I find that with Linux, it's a much easier operating system. Once it's installed, it's easier to maintain. And you don't have to be concerned about spyware and things like that. So that's where I think that's one segment of the population I think that can benefit greatly from using Linux. And really that's where I enjoy helping because they need somebody that can help them and hold their hand a little bit and walk them through some of the solutions. So, what do you guys think that the biggest obstacle is for Linux getting more widespread usage? Is it word of mouth? Is it a lack of or difficulty in gaming? Someone mentioned video chatting or Skype as being a stumbling block, but I don't think that's the case any longer. I think that it's word of mouth and it's also gaming, really, gaming in particular. Pop out the chat. See if that works. See, that works pretty well. Thanks, Lamer Linux. I hadn't thought to do that. So, yeah, gaming I think is the big thing. Gaming is a big issue. And so I think once, and that progress is being made. So, yeah, Steve, I agree with you. Too much choice, too many distros. It makes it so difficult for people who are new to Linux to decide what they want to try. And then if they try something that is not as user friendly, then it's going to be a problem for them. They'll close it down, they'll go back to Windows, and they probably won't visit Linux again. Mr. DJ FX says not all mainstream games are worth playing anymore. So um, I think that's probably true. Not all, but not all games, period, are worth playing anymore. It really depends on what you like. I don't, as you can see, I don't play that many of them. Um, I enjoy American Truck Simulator and Euro Truck Simulator because they're a little bit more relaxing and interesting. Um, Hearthstone is a kind of a strategy card game, so that interests me because of the mental aspects of it. I like first person shooters also. Um, I like Overwatch. I wish I could play it in Linux, but I'm not able to. I really enjoy Overwatch. It's kind of a simple first person shooter. It's enjoyable. Um, I used to like games like let's see, Unreal Tournament. That was one of my favorites. The old style first person shooters. Yeah, like Doom, old Doom, um, things like that. Now, yeah, I like retro gaming also, Fishman. Um, Quake 3 was one of my favorites. And the old style gaming, believe it or not, I had a ColecoVision and an old Atari 2600. I had them for years and years and years, and I bundled it up and sold it on eBay because I wasn't using it anymore. I probably should have held on to it a little bit longer and would have made more money on it. But right now I have a PlayStation 2. Now, believe it or not, back in the when PlayStation 2 came out, Linux wasn't doing much. It was kind of a very small segment of the population, as it still is today. Uh, but they came out with um, a keyboard for Linux for the PlayStation 2. So it was a Linux module, a Linux computer basically, that plugged into the PlayStation 2 and provided a keyboard, and you could run Linux on your TV because most PlayStations were hooked up to TVs, and it was pretty cool. But yeah, you can install Linux on a PS2. Now, I also have a PlayStation 4. I don't use it that much. Um, it's hooked up to a TV in the bedroom, and I don't use it as often. For example, I thought I would do more gaming on it, but I don't do a lot of gaming on it. I've got a little handheld PlayStation. I forget what they called it, and that's pretty cool. I've got quite a few games um, for that. But again, it's kind of a fad type thing. I don't really use it anymore. My screen resolution is 1920 by 1080. Yeah, the PSP, PlayStation Portable. I think that's what it's called, PSP. And I've got a now actually play for the PSP. I You could hack it, and then you can do a lot more with it. And I actually hacked it, and but I don't use it much anymore. So I haven't really realized the full capability of the hacked PSP. So as I said, I'm going to convert that drive. I may go through a Mac OS install. Mavericks wouldn't run with the new video card, so it runs, but it's choppy. The graphics, the video quality is terrible. It didn't load the driver correctly, and when I tried to load the driver, it told me it's not compatible with Mavericks. So I'm going to have to either go up to El Capitan or I'm going to have to go up to Yosemite. So, guys, I'm going to wrap up the live stream, and I'm up to 44, and that's really terrific. Hopefully, I can get the quality of the stream improved. Steve, I'm going to implement your suggestions in OBS. And guys, I will be doing a live stream again tomorrow morning, same time, about 10 a.m. Eastern time in the U.S. And I'll do another live stream, and we can just see what happens. Take it from there. It looks like it did pretty well today, and so I really enjoyed it. So tomorrow we'll do another live stream, and maybe we'll do a little gaming, and we'll talk about some Linux news and just see how it goes. So, guys, thanks. I'm going to stop the live stream now, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and and hope all is well for you guys. So, thanks for all the well wishes, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. And as I usually say, thanks for stopping by. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Take care.